Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And these are my paper pumpkin alternatives for May. And I've created 4 different alternatives. A couple of them are pretty close to what's in the kit. This is the kit itself, and it comes with the ability to make 10 cards, 5 of each of the designs that are shown here, and they're really pretty nice. And the envelopes come with this, I think it's Sahara Sand. Let's see, what does it say here? Crumb Cake Sahara Sand. And the color combinations are Gray Granite, Mint Macaron, Mossy Meadow, Sahara Sand, and Soft Seafoam. And so the envelopes give you a lot of opportunity to use some of this wonderful pattern paper. There's 2 different styles of envelopes, and one of them has this wood grain on the inside and this pretty mint macaron color on the outside. And mine are a little stained here. I just knocked over a glass of juice on my desk and I've been frantically cleaning it up. But none of my material for making my cards has been affected, so we'll just carry on. But this one's probably the furthest away from what's being suggested in the kit. And I've done just a little bit to the inside, and we could add a little bit more, and maybe we will. This one is done also a little differently, using some of the interior of one of the envelopes to do this, and it's an anniversary card. So this one is Father's Day, Happy Father's Day, and this is probably the closest to what was in the kit. And on this one, I liked the fold and the open on this one, and I just did a little embellishing on this one to make it a little different. So those are the cards we're going to make, and let's just get started. Because there are 4 cards, I've prepared a little bit ahead of time. This first one is this one, and I'm going to show you a couple things. This kit has a wonderful stamp set, and this stamp set in this kit has all of these lovely sayings. I don't know which is, that might be a little bit better. It says, happy to you, Father's Day, birthday, anniversary, thank you, Dad, in script and Dad printed, favorite, brother, uncle, son, grandpa, husband, friend, nephew, for all you do, I love you, adventure, you are my. And so you could do a lot of combinations of words, and then it's got this one little like sunshine spray here that I've used a couple times in the cards. So I did run out of the bases, so I went to a white base on this one, and I want to show you what else I used for this. I used one of the new stamp sets that we have available. It's called Rooted in Nature. This is the die set, and I used the die set here to set up these trees because I ran out of trees doing my alternatives, and that would happen. But these are cards that you can make on into time using different designer series paper and making your own trees. So I thought it would be useful to show you how I did this. So this is that wonderful bundle with all of the beautiful new trees in it. And so I die cut out some trees and stamped them. And I'm going to show you here exactly how I set this up to do that. What I have here is my Stamparatus. And I used the cutouts from this stamp set here from the Lilypad Lake set that has these little boats, and I thought that would be great fun to put the little boats on the water here, so I had to change the configuration in order to be able to do that. So I used the little boats here, and here I've got them set up, and this was a tip that I got, I think it was watching Patty Bennett, where she had just cut out a bunch of the individual pieces that she needed, and then she put the piece back in to the cutout here, and I've kind of lost my other boat here. So you can put the white pieces back in here and have your stamp set up so it comes right back in here, and then ink it and stamp, and you can get a lot of things done because you're not worried about stamping and then die cutting out. So that's what I did on this one, and I also did that with the trees. I cut out the trees and stamped them once, cut them out, and then I cut out a bunch more trees. I just kept putting them back in here, and then I've got my stamps set up here for the double tree and the single tree. Ink those up, and you can do them, put in some more blanks, do them again, put in some more blanks, so you can make quite a few of any die cut very, very quickly this way. There's no stamping and then setting up your die cut. You just die cut out of whatever color paper you want. In this case, I use the white, and in this case, I use the mossy green. And then you just replace the items, re-ink, and restamp. It's very efficient. And so I'm going to need the trees that are in here and this little set of boats. So I'm going to grab these things out of here. But it's another thing I would tell you, just a tip that I've employed here. You know, I've seen a lot of people talking about the Stamparatus and the fact that it's a little deep here next to the edges to get a good, clear, stamped image down the sides too close to the edges. And so people were moving their items more out here in the middle. Well, I found that what I did was I took 3 pieces of window sheet and cut them 7 by 7, and then just, I mean, it's not technical at all. I just used some Scotch tape and I taped them together because I've seen a lot of solutions. Stampin' Storage has a magnetic thing that you can put down on your surface here and continue to cut. But one of the things that I really liked about the Stamparatus is that I could see the grid lines through what I was stamping. And so I decided to try the window sheet, and it works beautiful. 3 thicknesses of the window sheet solves my problem. And I can still see through to the grid lines, so I can line things up, or I can lay some tape down on this and then line up my stamps accordingly. So that's my tip for the Stamparatus. So now that I've got my pieces out of here, and I'm using the 2 tree stamps from the Rooted in Nature, and so that's what I'm using, that and the Lilypad Lake in addition to the material that came with the kit. Okay, so on this card, what I have is I cut this card to a regular base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4, and then I nipped off 1 inch. So this is 1 inch off the end here, and that makes this card. This one is 5 3/8 by 3 1/8, and that allows this piece to go on here just like that, and then this piece to nest down on top of that. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this piece down on my card. And I'm just going to do this so I get similar borders top to bottom and side to side. You'll notice that there's just a slightly larger border going side to side than there is top to bottom. And I wanted to feature this, and so I thought it set off and framed it a little bit better doing that. And then on this piece, the border's a little broader, top to bottom and narrower side to side. And this is an envelope that I just cut open and took the center part of the envelope to make my DSP here. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this in place, and this piece measures 5 1/8 by 2 7/8. Okay, so I'm going to put this one in place here. And then what I did was I went ahead earlier, and this kit has these cute little banners, and they're scored twice on either end, so the banners actually stand up. So this banner would bend back here and then bend forward again about 1/8 of an inch in, and you just need to make that little fold and then burnish it with your bone folder. And there you go. You've got a banner that when it's put out stands up. Thought that was awfully cute. And so I'm going to go ahead and burnish that one and then put this last one in place and burnish it. And then you can make this part not sag by putting a few mini dimensionals. And there were quite a few mini dimensionals that came in this kit. And so I'm just going to put 3 of them right along the middle here, maybe even 4, because I don't want this banner to sag even a little bit. I think it's much more attractive when it holds its shape on the card here. Okay, now what you can do also is, let me grab my silicone mat here, is to put a little bit of snail on these banner tails, and that helps hold everything in place as well. Okay, so what we have here is this piece. Then I ran out of these little trees because there were 5 in there, and I tried an experiment that didn't work out very well. So I just cut a few more of these trees. And what I'm going to do is just add a tiny bit of dimension by putting some dimensionals on the back of these trees that I cut. Now, you can use the trees that come in the kit if you wanted to make a bunch like this and put them in place. Like I said, in my experimenting around with what I wanted to do with this, I managed to use, there were 5 of these sets of trees that came, and I sort of crashed and burned one. So I thought that's where I came to the rooted in nature, because it's got trees. Lovely as a tree would work as well, because and that one's been around forever. People are likely to have that one in their stash. And so these trees here, what I'm going to do is just set across the front of this piece here. So there we have some trees all across the front of our card. Now I'm going to burnish this down a little bit because I want this to lay very flat, and I suppose I could have done my stamping before I got started, but I didn't. So what I have here is Happy, that's going to just get stamped right on here, and the ink spot for this one is this beautiful Mossy Meadow. I love this color. I'm so glad it's back. And then I put the pieces going out this way, and then we have from our envelope a piece to go across the bottom here and our anniversary. So let me put this in place, and we'll just keep assembling this card. And once you've got your tree sorted out, this is really pretty fast. And this I just put on here with a bit of a border on either side. And then I have my happy anniversary here that I'm going to just add to the bottom. And there we have our anniversary. Now we're going to use the Mossy Meadow, and I also did use my Mossy Meadow marker. This happy is, and I'll bring it up so you can see it. When you stamp it, and I think you might be able to see it on that side a little bit better, there is a line and it's open in the middle of the words, and I'll stamp it and then show you again here what that does. So I'm going to get this centered here. Let me center this on my grid paper. That'll make this a little bit easier. Go. Ink that up one more time and put my happy right down here in the center. And I'll bring this up, you can see. So it creates an outline both on the inside and the outside of the word. And because I stamped this right on the designer series paper, I didn't like the way that looked. I wanted it to be very solid. So I'm using the bullet point on my marker here, and I'm going over those letters to fill in that central space on these letters so that I get a very bold, completely filled in happy, because on this designer series paper is kind of busy, and I wanted the happy to really stand out. So I made it solid instead of outlined. And there we go. Now I've got my happy, and it's nice and strong and firm in there with no lines and no open space. And I was just a little happier with that. Now on these marks here, I'm going to use my larger ink pad for the Mossy Meadow on this. Dimensional backs, I think they're the larva stage of something else because they grow in, they're everywhere. All right, so what I'm going to do is line up this central spoke on this burst with the center of my Y on this side and put it down like 1/4 of an inch away. And there we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side and line it up with the center of my H out about 1/4 of an inch. There we go. And I'm doing the same thing with my marker, and that is making these rays a little bit darker and a little bit more prominent, and maybe even a little thicker than they were with the stamped image. So your choice. You certainly don't have to do this, but since that designer series paper is so bold, I thought it couldn't hurt. So there we go. I've got my rays, and they're nice and bold, and it says Happy Anniversary down here. And I don't know about you, but my husband is one for not a lot of fuss. So I think he would really appreciate this. So on the inside of this card, what I did was I put just I love you and then another one of these sprays So I've got my I love you all mounted and ready to go. So I'm going to put that on the inside of the card, right in the middle at the top. And I'm going to use my spray here one last time, going down and away from the words. And I see I got a little smudge, but I'll get that out. I'm sure I've shown this many times, but this is a little file like your nail tech might use on your hands. And there we go. So there we have the inside done and the outside, and I think that's very attractive. It's got the silver, and I suppose you could put, but this is for a guy, I was going to say you could put some rhinestones on it or put another little bit of decoration, but I'm not sure it would be all that appreciated. So I'm going to leave it kind of plain. And so it says, happy anniversary, I love you, and I just think it's a very pretty little card. And you can see by doing my own trees across the top, and you can do any trees that you have and just fussy cut them out if you don't have the die set, or you don't have some of these other materials. So there we go. There's card number 1. So the next one I'm going to do is this one. And this is the one that's probably the most different from the kit. And so I have here, let's see, the way this comes is with sticker sheets that look like this. So you've got this for the water, a smaller mountain and a further away mountain. And so what I did on this one is I took this piece here and I just kind of cut some little waves across. So this is the other side of this one that I put down here. So what I'm going to do is put this one, this other half, on my card for this. Now, this one takes a little bit of thinking to get everything on here just right. And that is because we've got the normal way that they all fit on, they look like this, and they only come up a little under halfway through the card. And on this one, I want it more than halfway. So the first thing I'm going to do, because this is a sticker, I'm going to peel this one off because this is the back mountain. And let's see, I'm going to measure this so that I can tell you that on this side it's about 3 1/4 inches up from the bottom, and on this side about 3 inches. So if I mark this here at 3 inches on this side and 3 1/4 on this side, I'll know roughly where I want this little set of mountains to go. And since this is a sticker, what I'm going to do is put this on this side, cover my pencil mark, move this so you can see, right up against that edge, and then let it stick across here. Now that's even to the edge of the card, and I end up with a little tiny bit overlapping here, and that's just a matter of trimming that little edge down so that it fits right on your card. All right, the next thing I did was put some trees behind that, and so I'm going to work next on this this next piece here, and I know that I want my water right along the bottom of this next sticker. So I can take this piece off and I can put it on the bottom of my other sticker here, getting it just to the edges across there. And now I've created my little water piece. Now then, what I did was I took my sticker off of here, and I didn't want it to be a sticker because I want to be able to manipulate it and put it where I want, and I don't want it accidentally sticking down. So what I did was I took my embossing buddy, and this is just a real easy way to neutralize something that's got sticky on it. And I put some of my embossing buddy powder on the back of this sticker until it's no longer sticky. And this powder just wipes off with a baby wipe off of whatever it is you're working on. I think it's probably just cornstarch. So now this piece is no longer sticky, and I can mess around with exactly where I want it. I want it down here on the bottom, but I want some of the tree detail behind it. And so I've cut out a few of these trees, and I'm going to just decide kind of where I want them on the back here. And I'm going to put some snail along the back here of my mountains, and then decide exactly where I'm going to put my tree detail. And I'm not going to put go all the way across because I think that's less interesting, but to go ahead and put this in place. And then I wanted to raise this panel, so I'm going to put this up on dimensionals. And we're going to get something that would normally be laying down flat up a bit. And I'll put some of those dimensionals right across where the trees are to kind of help hold them in place. And I'm going to set this scene down right here along the bottom of the card again, leaving no margin, and lining it up with this end and laying that across. And there I have my little scene. Now I took this little piece of the wood paper and I put it right down here and use a little bit of snail to put that in place. To give the hint of a boat dock. There we go. All right, the next thing I need are my little boats, which I have here. These are blank ones that I cut out so I'd have extras. And then here is my boats that I stamped in my Stamparatus. And what I did on these is I used my Stampin' Blends and just to add a little bit of color. And I made the back side of the sail on this one. This is the light night of navy here. Nothing fancy in the coloring. I just wanted to add some color to the sails. And then to the center one, I put blue on the little stripes going across. And then I used the light cherry cobbler here to put some detail on this other sail. And I put some down the middle. I have no idea if this is the proper decoration for a sail, but I like the idea of the color. So there we go, we have our little boats. And so these I didn't give any dimension to because we've already got quite a bit of dimension going on, lots of layers. And so I just laid these down with a little bit of snail. Here in the water. And put this little boat trailing behind, just to make it look a little bit different. Now, on this one, I stamped the message of thank you across the top. And this is from the stamp set that comes with the kit. And I'm going to put a thank you on the top of this for my sentiment. So right up here, to put the thank you, and then I took my black marker and I made a few little birds. There we go. All right. And so that is the outside of this card finished. And on the inside on this one, I think I just stamped a couple of the trees. This is the D block that comes with Paper Pumpkin kit when you order your first Paper Pumpkin. And so I'm just going to use that and ink this up. And I'm going to put a couple of tree images right down here on the bottom. I'm going to do that one in full ink. Then I'm going to do one behind it in a little bit less inked up, and then ink off once and do the same thing there. And there we've got a little decoration for the inside of the card. And that is card number 2. So there we have our happy anniversary, and we have our thank you card. And we'll move on to the next card. So the next card I'm going to do is this one. All right, and so on this one, I have lots of trees, and I have one of the labels that came with the kit, and I have one of these labels. So let's see, the first thing I'm going to do is do my stamping, and I'm going to start with my happy, and you'll see what I did on this one is I just trimmed this tag down. So I trimmed along the edge to capture all of the silver on the longer piece and cut these 2 little edges off. And then I'm doing my stamping here with my happy stamp here. Set that down and see if I can't get my happy kind of right in the middle on that one. There we go. And then on the Father's Day, I need to swap that stamp out. There's my Father's Day. And what I did with this one is, this is such a pretty script. I really liked it. I put this just below center on this without running into the edges here. So just below center, as straight as I can. There we go. And then use the other stamp with the spray on the top of that with the rays going upwards and away from the Father's Day. So right here in the middle, and there's my Happy Father's Day. And so that's done, and I have my 2 little banner tails at the end. So this is a matter of putting this one together. And I did put this one together exactly the way they showed in the kit. So this one puts this sticker on first, and again, I have a hard time doing things the way they say. So I'm putting it up just a smidge from the bottom. And again, it fits on my card, but it needs a little trimming on this end. Okay. Then next would be this mountain sticker that goes right from the bottom of the card in place on here as well. And then this piece that is representative of the water going on next, and again all the way to the bottom. And then these trees here to go in here, and I did raise these trees on dimensionals, and then I tucked a few extra trees around since I was cutting trees anyway. So what I need to do is decide if I want to put any trees behind, then I have to do it now before I stick this down. And you know, I think I'm just going to put the ones in the front. So this I'm going to stick down here along the bottom, and I'm just going to use some snail on some of these other pieces here. And put a tree or two here in the front to add a little bit of interest. Maybe I'll put this double tree here in the center. There we go. There we have that all done. Now I have my tags that I made, and I also have a little sliver. Okay, here they are. So on this one, what I did was I put this little piece, it's 1/4 of an inch wide, to go across the entire span of the card. So 4 1/4, to have that go right along the edge here with no border. Have that just go into place along the top of the card. Looks like I need to trim off just a little bit of an edge there. And then I adhered down my happy right straight to the card and flat right underneath this in the center. I think that looks like the center. Then this one I did put up on dimensionals, and I think I might use the larger dimensionals on this one. I put that one right at the base of the happy banner, but not touching it. So if I'm looking straight down on it, there's just a tiny little margin between the two. And put my Father's Day in place, and then I just put a little bit of snail. Dimensional backs are everywhere. I just put a little bit of snail on these tails and tuck them a little bit underneath this banner going down and away, so that it looks like there's ribbon underneath. And there we go. That is the front of this card. And then on the inside of this card, what I did was I put another strip of this mint macaron down here on the bottom, and I left just a little tiny margin underneath it here, and this piece is cut right to 4 1/4 so that it covers the whole bottom of the card, and then this little piece of plaid right over the top of it, butting up against it. And it ties the inside and the outside of the card together. So here we go. And then I think I added one tree to the outside. Let's see, I've got one tree here. Oh, I added a double tree. Okay, well, here's a double tree. So I'll go ahead and add this double tree here to the inside of my card. And there we have card number 3. Very pretty and not that far off what they're doing, just enough to make it a little bit different. And I really love the color combinations on this and the trees. It's very, very pretty. Okay, so this is the last card, and let me grab my kit for this. So on this one, what I've done to be a little bit prepared ahead is I've done my stamping on this, and I changed it just a little bit. On this badge, I put the spray going up and down, put birthday in the middle, and did my happy, and I've already stamped it. Then I cut these pieces here. And what I did was, one of those pieces on the last card, I needed 1/4 inch, and I just cut 1/4 inch off of this piece. And then I have this piece here that is 4 1/4. Let's see, and it is 2 3/8 inches tall. And I did this so that I could add a little bit of the green border here to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is put my snail on the bottom of this all the way across. And I'm going to set this card here and just close this up around it. And there we've got a nice dark green edge on that. And I really like the way that looked. So there we go. And now I'm going to stamp my tree down here right on the designer series paper is what I did. And I think there's enough cushion between my grid paper and my silicone mat. And I'm just going to stamp this down here and ink it back up again and stamp another one right next to it, maybe down just a hair. There we go. And maybe one more up just a little. There we go. So now, and any tree stamp will work. But now I've got a little bit of interest down here. Then I took 1/4 or 1/2 inch piece of this designer series paper to put across the top edge here to bring in the top and the bottom. And I did this one so that it's right up against the edge. And on this one, I think I'm going to leave just a little bit of a border. So right across the top of the card, this was the inside of one of the envelopes, 1/2 inch by 4 1/4. And then I have another piece of this Mossy Meadow to put here, kind of in the middle to frame my badge. And so I'm just going to lay that down flat here, right in the center of this panel. And then I'm going to put my badge here up on dimensionals. And I wanted it to overhang the front of the card just because it gave a little bit of visual interest. So I'm bringing this down a ways here so that it hangs off the bottom of the card a little bit. And then we have our other banner, which has got its stamping already done on it. And this one just needs to be folded and burnished. And I'm going to center my happy here, right along the top edge of this badge. So there, I've got my happy going right down there. Okay, there we go. Now I've got that all down. These are the same height. And there we have this. And for the inside of this card, what I did was I put one stamp of the tree right down here in the corner. And I think I will put a second generation tree right next to it. See if I've got enough for a third one. There we go. And I thought it was kind of interesting. What I did was on one of these pieces here where I cut the water for the one that has the boat dock, and so I was left with this little piece here, and I thought I've got none of this mint macaron on the inside, so I just took this little trim here and put a little edge across here because it's already stickered, and I sliced off the edge and then used the other edge down here on the bottom to add a little bit of frame. And so there we have kind of an interesting thing, but there is card number 4, and I still have a couple little trees left over here. Well, I can put those on another project. But that is my paper pumpkin alternatives for this month. And let me bring them all back out so you can see them again. I loved this kit. It was really fun. And it was fun to figure out what else you could do with it. And I think you could do something like this and have the badge overhang. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do if you wanted to spend a little bit more time with it. But I'm pretty pleased with the way that these came out. I guess I need to burnish this edge just a little bit more so that it lays down nice and firmly. Okay, so here are the ones that we made today without the grape juice stains on them, so we'll put those out. And so here we have our 4 cards from this kit. Let's see, this one with the boats. Let me grab this one. And our happy anniversary one. So here we have our cards for this time. And thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. Let's see, this month is almost over. We are a couple days away. Today is Tuesday, and Thursday is the end of the month, so we can order from the new catalog. Woohoo! I am so ready to put my order in and get some of these additional wonderful stamps and things. And I know if you're like me, you've been digging through that catalog over and over and trying to make your wish lists. Mine is a mile long. And it's kind of fun to anticipate a new catalog. There's so many things in there that I do want to have my hands on. And so we can order on Friday, June the 1st, anytime after noon. They take the morning to transition from one catalog to the other, and then ordering is opened at noon. And so I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. You can subscribe to the Paper Pumpkin Kit. Paper Pumpkin Kits are really kind of cool. It's perfect if you travel at all, and if you're like me, I'm bereft of something to do, or I want some downtime. A Paper Pumpkin Kit is a wonderful thing to take along with you, even if you just do it the way they suggest. And you come home with 8 cards and you've done a little bit of crafting. They're very imaginative, actually. And I think they introduce products here, and then later we see them come out in the catalog. And this one is called Manly Moments. And you can see there's just a lot you can do with it. And if I hadn't experimented a little bit too much, I would have had another one of these sheets or two to go across my cards here and make this a little simpler. But you can use, like I did here, just a plain old card base, and I don't mind tearing up the envelopes and using the wonderful designer series paper that's inside, because you can always put these in a white envelope and you're perfectly fine. And I believe in using every scrap and every inch that comes in that Paper Pumpkin Kit. Let's see. The prize draw for this month is a set of the stamp pads for the In Colors and a set of the markers. And what it takes to get in my drawing is an order on my website. There's still a couple days to get in for the drawing. So, and I'll figure out what next month's prize is, and on my next video I'll announce what that is. But we've got a couple days left, and then we're on to the new catalog. And if you, like I said, if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, and or you could join my team. I'd be thrilled to have more people on my team. So that's it for me today. I'll be back soon with more cards and more projects. Bye!